Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my podcast. So recently in my environmental science class, on a side note, I absolutely hate science, and I wasn't about to kill myself taking an AP science class, so I took a super basic one. Anyways, in our science class, we are starting a unit about food and food insecurity. This topic really interested me because living in such a vastly successful country, and we produce enough food to feed the entire world, many people in America still go hungry. Food insecurity is when someone can't afford food or doesn't know where their next meal is coming from. You know, I love food and I love to eat. It's like one of my favorite things to do is eat. So it makes me sad to think millions of Americans are living in food insecurity. According to feedingamerica.org, 42.2 million Americans live in food insecurity. To get some more insight on the problem of food insecurity, I talked to Lindsay Healy, a science teacher at Leonardtown High School in Leonardtown, Maryland.
So food insecurity is a big problem for the fact that we do produce enough food for everyone in the country. Unfortunately, it's a distribution problem where there are large areas that are considered food deserts and they're not getting accessible access to food that is, so it should be a right for humans.
There's a strong correlation between food insecurity and food deserts. Food deserts are areas where people don't have access to fresh, nutritious food within walking distance. Jessica Stalins, the case teacher at the Forest Career and Technology Center in Leonardtown, Maryland, gives her advice on the impact of food insecurity and food deserts on agriculture.
Food security in America, from an agricultural standpoint, really is something that can be taken care of. There are lots of different ways to incorporate vegetables and even fruits into a modern urban landscape. It's just a matter of especially complex owners being willing to help support those projects.
Food deserts are usually found in impoverished urban areas, and 23.5 million people in America live in food deserts.
Large companies don't want to go into those communities because they don't feel like they're going to make enough profit. So the accessibility to clean, healthy foods is not there.
Lack of access to fresh foods can cause various health problems. Since people can't afford fresh fruits and vegetables, food insecure people resort to eating cheap, unhealthy, processed foods. This can lead to obesity, diabetes, and heart problems. I talked to Diana Kraft, the guidance counselor at the Forest Career and Technology Center in Leonardtown, Maryland, about some of the effects of unhealthy food, especially on students.
Okay, so as a school counselor, not as a politician, but I would say my observation is that the gap between those that are wealthy and those who are not is getting wider and wider over the years. See more students living and being homeless than we have in the past, which concerns me greatly because it has a huge effect on their happiness as well as their education. You know, being able to have a nutritious meal has everything to do with brain development, especially at this age that you guys are in, because that's when a huge amount of brain growth is happening. So if we are not feeding the brain well, our brain's not going to develop well. Huge concern. Just being able to be focused. Protein's needed 3 times a day. If we're not getting protein as we need for our brains, they're not able to do their job and help somebody be focused. So it concerns me that we're seeing a lot more attention deficit types of situations because of that.
Children are huge victims of food insecurity. Of the 42.2 million Americans going hungry, 13.1 million are kids, and 17% of households that are food insecure have children. Not eating proper foods can cause kids to have problems in school and develop behavioral issues.
Basic needs. You know, we all need food, shelter, security. Without our basic needs, other things are secondary. So we really can't, a person doesn't function well unless their basic needs have been met.
As I try to decipher the issue of food insecurity, it's not that there is a shortage of food, but a dearth of access because as a country, we produce a lot of food, but waste a lot as well. According to the USDA, 30 to 40% of America's food supply is wasted, which equals 133 billion tons of food, or $161 billion. I will admit, I am guilty of food waste. Food that I don't eat or want or that goes bad gets thrown in the trash, and I feel bad because there are millions of people without food. So my search in food insecurity has led me to find solutions to reduce food shortages and food waste.
We definitely have to figure out a better way to reduce our food waste or potentially use extra food from restaurants and grocery stores that are going to be thrown away and turn it into available food for those that are in food insecure areas. Panera, for example, is one that donates some of their leftover pastries. If grocery stores, like they did in France, would ban the waste from being thrown away, we could potentially use that food and take it to those areas. So it's a question of fixing the distribution of where it's going. Instead of our landfills, go to someone's plate.
There are many other restaurants that are like Panera who donate unused or unsold food. As stated by foodtodonate.com, Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, The Cheesecake Factory, and Red Lobster, as with various other restaurants, participate in food donation. Another way to help end food insecurity is through urban gardening.
There's lots of urban gardens. There's lots of rooftop greenhouses and gardens that can happen. But until people start realizing and changing how they view landscape, it doesn't always have to be a green lawn. Those are actually really, really counterproductive, especially to cleaning up the Chesapeake Bay, because a lot of people will put fertilizers on them. Whereas if those green spaces in urban areas were to have vegetables grown on them, or even cover crops, where people can go and they can pick them and have them available to them, then that really would take care of a lot of the food deserts, the problems that we have with those situations.
There is a growing number of urban gardens across America, especially in areas deemed food deserts. Baltimore Urban Gardening is an after-school program for kids living in inner-city Baltimore that allows them to plant fresh food. Another example is Marathon Urban Farm, located in Philadelphia, that is dedicated to refurbishing urban land and turning it into farmland. Food insecurity is a crucial problem that's affecting millions of Americans. The poor and those who live in food deserts are primary victims of food insecurity. Even people like me who have plenty of food to eat are a part of the predicament because we contribute to a lot of the food waste in America, and such food could go to those who need it. There is an array of solutions to the problem of food insecurity, including food rescue programs and urban gardens. We as a nation can take full advantage of these resolutions and end food insecurity. Well, this is it for my podcast, and I'll talk to you all next time.